Welcome to Smart Branding, a podcast dedicated to branding, naming, and domain names. I'm Tatiana Bonneau, and with my guests, we try to help you create and grow strong, memorable, and meaningful brands online. I believe time is one of our most precious assets, and so I want to thank you in advance if you decide to spend the next 30 minutes with us. I promise to do my best to make those worth it. Let's go. So today our guest is Shaun Gold. He's a serial entrepreneur, founder, best-selling author, guest speaker, advisor, and consultant to startups. Thank you for making the time, Shaun.
Thank you for having me. Wow, it sounds exhausting when someone else says it.
I didn't even read it all. I didn't read it. There's more.
We keep adding stuff. We're always changing.
Yeah, that's it. On that note, let's start with a short introduction to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, pretty much kind of notorious for all the nightlife stuff I did. That's how everyone knows me despite everything else I've done. It always comes back to a nightclub or a private party or a mansion or a yacht, which is fine, despite that I have other accolades. But I've worked with probably close to 20 different startups in every non-technical role you can imagine. Marketing, strategy, branding, content, you name it, I've done it. I do a lot of stuff in the creative space. My Substack, YouTopian Journey, with screenplay that I have that's close to being in pre-production. So we'll see.
Hey.
Just lots of different things. Spoken at different universities. I've done a lot, and I always continue to do a lot just because I have a lot of interests, and I don't have that voice inside my head that says, oh, maybe you should do just one thing. I have a voice that says, try everything, because I don't really care about failure. I don't care about what other people think. I don't care about lost time if I'm trying something new. So I just go with it. And it's worked out so far. So that's kind of how I roll.
Is that, because it does seem to, like, you do a lot of things, but if you were to say, to have like that line that connects them all, would you say that comes to the storytelling part, because you have a lot of creative stuff going on, like you mentioned the Substack as well?
Yes. If I had one line to connect them all, I'd say a storytelling connector. We're just gonna put that together right now on the spot. You heard it here first. Storytelling connector. That'd probably be the best way to describe it.
And how did that evolve from the nightlife stuff?
Well, nightlife was always storytelling. It's going to be great. It's going to be hot. This celebrity is going to be here. I mean, it was essentially marketing and sales just to a very high-end clientele. So it was always storytelling, and I was always connecting. But I've always been creative, and I kind of put the creativity stuff to the side for a while until it kind of, reawoke. And I started getting into it with, teaching myself screenwriting and writing my novel and doing all that. So once it awoke, I don't want to put it back to sleep. I kind of use that for one, the stuff I want to do, which is like the Substack and the film stuff and the TV stuff. But it also applies to startups. It also applies to their stories. It also applies to their content. It applies to their blogs. It applies to, what they want to craft. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't know how to tell a story and sell a story. It's just like we're the Uber of applesauce. That's it's always something stupid. They always say that. It's always like something where they take something really successful that everybody knows, and then they apply it to what they're doing, which is something so niche that nobody cares about, and that's their story, and it just doesn't work. So it's all, at least in my mind, everything I do is kind of entangled. One thing helps something else. So if I spend more time in the storytelling, I can understand a company and an industry and a vertical even better. For instance, I'm doing something with a startup in blockchain right now. So, to craft their story and craft their content strategy and, prepare them for an outside investment, I'm learning everything I can about, that industry vertical, just so I can tell proper stories, just so I can get people excited. I've done a lot, and it's not just limited to that. I mean, I've worked with a dating app that I helped build, and that's a dating app in Miami, which is like an oxymoron. That's one of the the 9 circles of the underworld. I did an Uber competitor type app here in Miami. I've done so many different things. I mean, prominently right now, I'm with openvc.app, where I do all the content, and then I host our pitch deck roasts, which are once a month, where me and someone much smarter and better at investments than I am takes apart three decks live from consenting founders in front of a live not studio audience, but a live audience, a live Zoom audience of founders, investors, and people that just want to be entertained. But it's all about crafting a story, and it's all about showcasing a brand, and it's all about building an actual presence. And I mean a presence, because most people, they think presence like, well, I have a link tree and it's on Twitter, Google, Snapchat. Like, it's like doesn't mean anything unless people know who you are.
And to follow on that, and just as you mentioned, Linktree and all the different platforms that one has to be now, like personally as a personal brand, but also companies, like there's just everywhere you have to be present. And it's really hard to keep brand consistent, regardless
100%. I mean, and it's certain people shouldn't be on certain platforms. Okay. Like, I feel like if you're 45 years old, you shouldn't be the face on your TikTok for your company. Okay. Like, hire someone that's 19. I feel like there's going to be an Amber Alert if you're over a certain age going on TikTok. Like, I don't think you should be on Snap. I mean, there's all these little things that people don't get. It's one thing to be like the presence and have the brand consistency on LinkedIn, which for those at home is like Facebook Lite. It's one thing to have that brand consistency on LinkedIn, but then it's like, okay, I'm going to do this also on Instagram. And it's like, well, if you're a SaaS company, enterprise software, which is kind of boring, I don't think it's going to fly on Instagram. It flies better on a LinkedIn or Twitter. But what are you going to post pictures of on Instagram? Like, what are you going to do? And why are you going to do it? And yeah, it's so many different things. It's super annoying. I'm on a bunch of stuff and I don't pay attention to it. I mean, to me, it's kind of a time suck. Like, so I have followers and I post when I have something cool, but I'm not checking it every day because I'm too busy focusing on doing my work, building something, taking meetings, like doing things that are going to matter, than be like, I'm going to post this picture with some really good content and some awesome hashtags. Like, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to be like, that was beautiful. That was the most amazing picture I've seen. It's really like, to me, again, it's something that you just outsource if you want to outsource. And to me, again, it's not since the nightlife days has like social media been really apparent or important to me. I mean, my main focus when I share something is probably LinkedIn, and then probably maybe Facebook, because I have like 5,000 people on there. Occasionally an Instagram story, but that's about it. Occasionally a tweet because people tag me, but nothing too crazy, because you go to where your market is. You go to where people are at. And I don't have a TikTok account. And I signed to the TikTok once for like 5 seconds, and then that was it. I was done. That's enough for me. No more challenges or anything. So, and I'm not an influencer. I mean, people call me an influencer because I have influence, but I'm not like, hey guys, check this out. Look at the protein I used to start my day, and with the promo code. Like, I'm not gonna like do that. Like, if I'm gonna like shill something, it's gonna be something really cool, really awesome, and doesn't look like I'm like selling out. It's something I'm usually involved in.
Yeah, no, so I completely get that. And I think if I was to summarize it, it makes for a good advice to our audience, because from what you're saying, it seems like the better way to do it is not to do it effectively, what people do now backwards, where they're like, okay, I need to be on all of those platforms and I need to produce content for all of those platforms all the time. And what you're saying is, no, you do your thing. And when there is something that's relevant to whatever platform, if your audience is there and they will have, some value from hearing or seeing that, then you can post it, but it can't be the focus.
Correct. I mean, you have to have quality content, whatever your company is or whatever you're doing. You have to have something shareable, something to be like, look what we're working on. Most of the stuff is terrible. 99% of stuff out there is terrible. There's people patting themselves on the back for doing something that used to be a requirement, and now it's a triumph. Like, we got the company email set up today. I'm so excited. It's really stupid stuff. And, I just feel like most people, they don't get it. And it's like, I have people that ask, like, why don't you post more? You do so many interesting things. And it's like, because I'm too busy actually doing the interesting things. And I don't care about what people think if they're not going to be my customer or my target audience. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I don't need to impress people. Like, I've done enough cool stuff to impress them. And if they're not impressed, like, me doing something, something stupid is not going to impress them, and I'm not trying to impress them. I'm trying to actually create some new stuff, create dope content, help people and really do things that haven't been done before, and that takes a lot of time, and it's much easier to talk about doing it than to actually do it. And I think that's why we're in a world of constantly, bragging and boasting. I don't even check my LinkedIn feed. I post what I need to post once or twice a week, and that's it, because the feed is just, everybody it always starts with I'm privileged or I'm honored. And it's always like,
tell me about it.
They're always privileged or honored to accept a position, or that their boss or their manager, they can promote them and talk about how smart and awesome and how much it's like there's like a LinkedIn playbook, and it's like, let's all copy and paste the playbook and do it. And it's the same thing for Twitter. It's the same thing. It's just garbage. It's like, it's not the real world. It's like people think that it is, but it's not. It's like, I feel like when everything's said and done with all the stuff I've done and all the stuff I'm doing, I want people to look back and be like, wow, he actually did some cool stuff, and not like his tweets were amazing. Wow, his social media was lit.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that. And I've been like lately cleaning up a lot of my accounts exactly because of that, because they become unusable. Like you open anything and it's just that sea of sameness that means nothing. Yeah,
it's a march to the void. That's essentially what it is. It's just, and it's all like fake. It's all artificial. Like you can have people that you've been colleagues with, that you've known for years, and they don't talk like that. You've never heard them say ever that they've been honored or privileged,
Yeah.
And they wouldn't say that, but because they want to toe the line and pat themselves on the back, or pat, their manager or their boss on the back or something like that. Like that's essentially what they do. And it just, it's very artificial. It's very inauthentic. Everyone can see through it, but nobody wants to say anything. So I'll say it. I'll say it because it's fine.
There you go. It's been said.
Thank you. We said it here. You heard it here first.
Yeah, we said it. But like, I have one thing there. As you were saying that, everybody has that need to post everything constantly everywhere because, it's what everybody else is doing. You, I feel, have been in that space in marketing for long enough to see it change over time. And like, I don't know if you have kids, I have 4. I can see that even though I'm trying really hard to like limit their space, their time online, there is that syndrome of, if I haven't posted it somewhere, it's almost like it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the FOMO, and we have to put it did happen because you experienced it.
Exactly. No. It's crazy. I live in Nice. Sometimes you walk around and there's that amazing sunset, like amazing. I'm here for 5th year now, and I'm still walking around like a tourist. Like, wow, it's amazing. You look around, everybody's on their phone, and it's like, you're not seeing it. You're looking at your phone. You're seeing it through the phone. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's just,
of course. I mean, it just essentially, that's what's happened. It's people have become kind of slaves to their devices. There's a great quote that says, what's the quote? I wasn't prepared for it, but the Nassim Taleb quote, the author of The Black Swan and the Thinking in the Bed of Procrustes, where he said, what's the difference between a slave and an employee? And I think it's like a phone, or I think it's the technology. It's essentially that. But yeah, it just everybody looks at their phone and has to post everything and share everything. And I feel like I'm the only one that's saying that, like, you're not that important. It's not that amazing. It's not that, it's one thing if it's like, okay, I'm about to go on stage on, I don't know, Britain's Got Talent in front of 30 million viewers. Okay, that's pretty cool. You should share that. But it's like, here's me, I'm standing in the elevator. We're waiting for. It's like the most mundane things that people try to make, like they try to make their lives so important. And it's the same thing for businesses, where it's like, why don't you focus on getting the customers, and why don't you focus on, changing the game and becoming an industry leader, or becoming a leader in your niche or in your field, instead of trying to brag about stuff. I mean, I see it a lot with startup founders that try to like make themselves look cooler than they really are. I saw a deck the other day that had like, for their metrics. And when you have startups, metrics are kind of like user retention, revenue growth. and this one put like their social media metrics, and it'd be great if they grew from like 0 to 5 million people, but it's like we grew from 0 to like 500 Twitter followers. It's like, okay, I'm just going to assume you have some tastemakers on there, some real heavy hitters, but like, what is it? Like, it doesn't matter. You know, what matters is your work. What matters is what you produce. What matters is, if you use your time wisely. And I feel like most people aren't. And it's something that, I write passionately about, on YouTopian Journey, my Substack. And just, it's, there's a quote from Walker Percy that he asked a question: can people miss their lives like they miss a plane? And I said, that's a really good quote. One, because nobody knows who he is. And two, I'm like, you're not going to find that on any Instagram profile or any story, but it's true. Can you miss your life like you miss a plane? And I think the case is yes. I think the case is, especially now, because, there's the business and then there's the busyness, and we've confused the two. And the busyness is all like, look at all the stuff I've done, but you haven't done anything. You've checked the boxes and whatnot. And then there's the business of stuff actually getting done, growing a company, growing revenue, expanding into a new vertical, whatever the case may be. But it's just there's this culture of like, look how busy I am. And people compete with each other to be like, well, I wake up at 4 a.m. and then I meditate for 2 hours and then I go to the gym.
Yeah.
It's like, and then someone else will say, I wake up at 3 a.m. And it's just like, it's like, a race to the bottom of being, like, this is what I do. And people ask me, what time do you wake up? I'm like, whenever I feel like it. I don't wake up before dawn. Like, who does that? Like, were you insane? Like, it's just, but people like, I feel like they've been like conditioned and programmed because one successful person did it. So now that they have to like do it. And then like everyone else on social media follows it. And it's just like, do your own thing. I don't wake up early. I don't make my bed as the first thing I do when I wake up. I don't meditate. I don't like do all these things that people tell you to do, and people look at me like, whoa, how do you get anything done? And it's like, one, I get a ton of stuff done. And two, I bring up Pablo Picasso, the most prolific artist in history. And he didn't start working till like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. He'd wake up every day around 11:30 or noon and then spend the afternoon hanging out with his friends or walking around before he went to go start work in a studio. So, this notion of we have to wake up at 5 a.m. and work out for 5 hours and eat a whole chicken for breakfast and then start work. And it just like, yeah, I mean, you're busy, but like, what are you actually accomplishing? I mean, it sounds kind of terrible. It sounds regimented. It sounds like something you would do if you were in prison, where it's like, you wake up at this time and you have to do all this and then you have this. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to do my life the way I want to do it, and it's been working out so far, where it's like, I'm just going to kind of do what I need to do and schedule what I need to schedule. And if I ever wake up before dawn, it's probably because I can't sleep because I'm too excited for something happening, or I have a flight. Or in the old days, it's because I didn't wake up yet. I was just coming home, but it wasn't like a thing where it's like, I have to wake up with the sun and blah, blah. Like, it's not that. And I feel like, again, it's all about the busyness when you should be focusing on the business.
I was going to ask you about, like, because you work a lot with entrepreneurs, what would you say are the most common mistakes? But I think we actually ended up talking about a lot of mistakes, like
all of them. Yeah.
That's good. Mistakes are good. Right. What else did I want to ask? You have your name as a domain name. You've registered that, and It's kind of a place to showcase what you're up to. How do you feel? Is that important? Would you advise other people to do that? What was the story there?
Yeah. I mean, first off, funny story. Always register your name as a domain. I don't care if you're business or not. Back in the day when I was at university, I didn't have my name registered. Someone bought it and they tried to extort me. I still have the email where they emailed me and they said, we've bought your name as a domain name. We're going to sell it to your competition unless we can make a deal. And I didn't reply because I was like, okay, like, I'm not being blackmailed for my own name. So I just waited like a year. It expired and then I bought it. So one, you should always buy your domain name just because you don't know what could happen. People could buy it. And then, you could have someone that has your very same name that is a complete crackhead and it ruins your reputation, So one, always buy the domain name for yourself. Even if you don't use it, just park it, pay the $10 or whatever and do it. Two, I mean, it depends what you want to do. I mean, I'd say, whatever industry you're going to be in, people are always going to Google you. So rather than have your socials come up in your LinkedIn, you want to have the first thing come up, which is, this is what I do. This is what I work on, blah, 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 which is fine. So I recommend that. But for me, I mean, I haven't even updated my domain name in a while. I mean, I have the name, but I haven't updated the website. For me, it's more like it's there, but most of my inbound comes through referrals. It comes through, so many different sites that I'm on. Nothing ever really came from like ShaunGold.com. It's there. And, my picture from TV comes up and all that cool stuff. I will, redesign it and add, the bazillion podcasts I've been on and my articles and all that stuff. It's going to take a while because I have to find it all. But I think everyone should do it, regardless if they're going to turn themselves into a brand. I think they could just have it where it's like, even if they just don't want to be an entrepreneur or don't want to be, a marketing person, whatever, they just have it. So it comes up and has their picture and says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I work at the forefront of, I don't know, restaurant tech," or something. I don't know. Just one paragraph with their picture. So when someone Googles them, their professional shot comes up or something. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big proponent, and I think everyone should do it because it's like you have your digital rights, and you have the right to your name, and nobody has your name unique enough that someone else could have it or is not gonna copy it. So you don't want to have like the real ShaunGold.com. You just want to have, one ShaunGold.com and do it. So that I definitely recommend it.
I recently had a guest who very nicely summed it up. I feel he said, "I want to own my story," because obviously you can't control what people post about you all over the place. So like when you have your name and it's all set up, it's like you own your story. It's like, that's what I say about myself, and it's there and it's clear.
Yeah. You want to own the narrative, and you want to have at least some authority on the subject. Because going back to LinkedIn, I mean, you can't even tell what someone does in like one line anymore. Now it's like 50 lines where it's like crypto enthusiast, blockchain hobbyist, husband.
Web3.
Web3. It lists 50 things where it's like, it's essentially code for being unemployed. Okay, that's what it is. It's essentially code for being unemployed. You have 50 things where you're a hobbyist, enthusiast, proponent. You have everything but what you actually do. And that's kind of just like, you don't want to be that. You want to have, your one person, your narrative, your domain name. "Hi, I'm so-and-so. I do these. I do it in 2 lines. That's it." And you have other stuff. Great. I love books. I'm not going to be like, a bibliophile who's now reading this. Like, nobody cares. Okay. But people, I feel like they're trying to search for stuff to like make them seem really interesting. And by reading all that, you're not interested, because it becomes like you try to put your entire Facebook profile into your LinkedIn title. And it's just kind of like, okay. It's I see here that you watch movies and breathe oxygen. All right. Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah. We have so much in common. We both have a pulse.
Yeah, that reminds me. Yes, I don't know. Yesterday, 2 of the kids were doing, when kids get stuck on stuff, they were sitting in the car and doing. Imagine there's somebody now at this very moment doing whatever, and that just went on for hours, and it just reminds me of those kind of there's somebody doing stuff and it goes on as a listed. It's childish. Yeah,
you should have been like imagine what you could be doing if you finished your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about that. Wow.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. What else did I want to ask you? What about your books?
Yes. What would you like to know?
How many are there, firstly?
4.
And what are they about?
So we have Promoter Mind, Hustler Heart. It's a bit obsolete because I wrote it in 2014. But it was about marketing. But it was Promoter Mind, Hustler Heart, #1 marketing book when I launched it on Amazon. I have Pro Tip, which is a comedy book based on all my experiences in nightlife. It was kind of a guide of what not to do when you came to Miami nightlife and hit me up. Didn't work. I have my novel Hitter, which is based on a screenplay that I was pitching, just to establish the intellectual property. And then I have Better Be You, which was a #1 entrepreneurship book when I launched it in 2017, which is just like a primer for entrepreneurs. It's not a very long book. It's very short to the point, of what to do if you want to be an entrepreneur, with some examples and whatnot. I have a bunch of other manuscripts I never released. I'm probably going to do one for my Substack because it's nearing 200,000 words, because I've been doing it for almost 2 years. So I'll probably release a book just of the best content, like a free ebook kind of a thing. but yeah, so we have those, and then I have the screenplays, which a different one is actually about to be in pre-production. We're just looking for partners and attaching talent. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I'm always on the move. I'm always, like I said, I'm just there's certain type of archetypes that people are, that is part of your personality and your psyche. You can take the test. The tests are free, and the tests are 100% accurate because my personality is like the creator. So, it lists like, that's what you do. I think about something, and then like a normal person be like, I don't know. And me, I just dive into it, and I'll dive into it, and I'll spend 6 hours on it writing, or I'll spend, a weekend on it. And if I have something, I'll pursue it. And if I don't, at least, it was practice to me to write and create something. But yeah, books they're good. They're there, but my focus is, again, the Substack.
How do you deal with self-criticism? Like, because you do so much stuff, and you just said you just write it, and well, if it doesn't work, it's at least an experience. I love that because it allows you to do more things. A lot of people stop at that very level where they go, well, what if it's not good? Or what is even the point, like, of writing it, because there's so much better stuff being written already? How do you get over that?
Me personally, I'm very harsh on myself, like very harsh. Right. But then I give myself a raise to increase my morale. So it's okay. But no, I really don't compare myself to others. I don't, because the majority of people are stupid. The majority of work is terrible. I don't care. Okay. I'm a unique person with a unique vision. Most people are drones. I don't care. I'm going to write something. I'm going to do it. I'm harsh with myself if I don't think it's up to my standards and my level of where it should be. That's what it needs to be, but I'm not competing against myself, because if I compete against myself, it's going to be competing against other people that I admire as a writer. So, a Viktor Frankl or a Carl Jung or a Dostoevsky, and you can't, those are like some of the greatest minds of all time. So you can't compare, it's kind of like if, there's a quote from, I think, Abraham Maslow, where essentially, if Plato knew that there was another Plato before him, he wouldn't have become Plato. So, you have to not think about what others have accomplished. You have to become who you want to be. And you really can't set, the frontiers of your possibilities. You can't set those, and you can't let anybody else set those. So if you don't like something I wrote or something I created, then it's like, all right, well, that's on them. It's just, I did my best. If I can improve it a little bit, give me some guidance, I'll do it. But at the end of the day, like, it's not for you. It's just like, certain music isn't for certain people. Certain articles aren't, certain content, certain companies are. So I really don't beat myself up over it. I beat myself up over it if I could have done better. And so for my books, because obviously, the last one was released 5 years ago. I mean, I could have done much better if I released them now. But that's because I had to release the books to get better, and I had to do all this other stuff to improve and get better and become better. So, and I'm sure whatever I release now, 5 years from now, I'm going to be like, it sucks, but that's what it is. If you're growing, that's what's going to happen. You're going to look back. Just all the stuff you do at the beginning is not the best. And even the stuff you do when you think you're the best is not the best, because if you keep going and keep climbing, it gets better and gets better. But you have to make that climb. Nobody wants to make the climb. That's the problem. They want to just, look at the mountain and pull out their phone and, as we said, take a picture and post a little quote. But the climb itself is different. And, I feel like creativity is a climb. I feel like existence is a climb, regardless of what you want to do. And, people that are just starting to climb are light years ahead of the multitude that aren't even approaching the mountain. And that's just the truth. I mean, I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing entrepreneurship since I was a kid, and I've just always moved forward. I never let any failure, any loss, any setback stop me. It might have slowed me down, but I keep moving forward. Because the truth of the matter is that there's a Haitian proverb, and nobody wants to hear this because we all want to climb the top of the mountain and be like, I did it. The truth of the matter is that beyond the mountains are more mountains. So once you make it to the top, there's one that's even bigger. And once you get to the top of that, there's one that's even bigger. So you have to just keep going. And that's my mentality with it.
And that's a good thing. And I love that. I love the way you framed it there, that basically if you look back and you go, oh, that was horrible, or I could have done better, it means you've progressed since. So that's a good thing. Like people usually get scared of that or think, okay, that was kind of, I love the way you switched it there.
Well, there's imposter syndrome, and I hate that stupid term. Okay, because it's based on an earlier theory by Abraham Maslow called the Jonah complex, which sounds much better because it was actually created by Abraham Maslow, not some nitwit on Twitter or whatever. Okay, so the Jonah complex is the fear of greatness. It's people that they fear themselves becoming great. It's like it comes from Jonah in the Bible avoiding his destiny. And people want to avoid their destinies because they're worried about, oh, I don't know if I can do it. How am I going to look in front of other people? I don't want to make other people jealous. I don't want to make other people envious. I don't want the attention, and it's kind of like a lot of people suffer from it. They won't admit it, but, that's going to ruin their lives. That's going to ruin their lives more than anything, because they are capable of being at the highest level. And the only thing holding them back is themselves. They have the know-how, they have the grit, they have the technical expertise, they have the motivation, but it comes down to, what is the crowd going to think of me? What are my friends from high school on Facebook going to think of me? What are my colleagues going to think of me? They don't even know I'm into this. Like it's always that fear. And that fear like destroys more ideas and more companies and more people than anything else, because they won't start. And I see it. I mean, I see it with everything. I see people that don't want to, they don't want to write because I don't think it's going to be good. They don't want to take a class in something or get certified because they don't think it's going to be good, or people are going to accept them. Or there's always from my history, there's always like, you're so random. That's what people used to say about me. It wasn't like you do a lot of cool stuff, which I thought I was always doing. I still think it. It's always, you're so random, because they can't understand that, life is not just like you have one career, one vertical, one path. They can understand that, you can have as many things as you want. Children get it, because when you're a child, you can do whatever you want. Nothing stops you. But as you get older, it gets drilled into you. You should specialize. You should focus on this. You should stop horsing around. Like you have that, so it takes that out of you. And it never really took it out of me, because I was always stubborn, and my parents were always encouraging me to try different things, and I was always encouraging myself. And again, I think if I had a superpower, and it's not like, healing like Wolverine or read minds or anything. We all have a superpower to read minds. It's called Facebook. It's the superpower is just not caring what other people think. That's it. It just not caring, and it's good, because, at the end of the day, people ruin, good things. People tend to add, they have to interject. They have to give their opinion. They have to be right. Some people have to be right because they're incapable of being anything else, so they have to have that, I told you so, you shouldn't do this, you take the credit. And it's like, okay, you told me maybe I shouldn't do this. You didn't really change my life. You gave me your opinion. So, there comes a time when you have to kind of like just trust yourself and go for it. And if you fail above the expectations of others, and, you want to be worthy of your failures. I think that's something that people have forgotten. I think because especially in our society, especially, social media driven society, where we all have to be beautiful, happy at the sunset with the cocktails on the beach, rich, like everything you could imagine, which, I don't know where they're getting these people, because when I look outside, I don't see anybody like that. And I live in Miami. Trust me, people really try. But yeah, it's, we forget that we need to be, in the words of, Dostoevsky, worthy of our sufferings. And there's one quote that, I tell everyone that, because no one knows the quote because they don't know the writer. There's a quote from the German poet Rainier Marie Rilke, which says the purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things. And like people are like, wait, what? You're supposed to win. You're supposed to conquer. I was like, yeah, but before you can win and conquer, you have to dare, and you have to keep going. And it's only after multiple failures and multiple no's and multiple losses that you can get to that victory. And then you go after something else. And I mean, that's what you do. But I feel like people just don't want to fail. They don't want to be defeated. They don't want to face defeats. There's a difference between facing defeats and being defeated, and you have to face them and you have to keep going. And, the old Winston Churchill saying, success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I don't want to hold you for much longer, but if we can quickly cover like what type of entrepreneurs do you work with? Who can reach out to you for help, for advice, for coaching, for whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in pretty much every industry, tons of them. So as long as it's not something super hardware technical, like as long as I don't have like a new like hot air balloon transportation company, the Uber of like slow travel, as long as it's not something like that. So no hardware. I would say definitely nothing hardware for anything. So it's like, but essentially, if content's my main thing. I start with the storytelling and the content. Second is the connecting, and third is kind of the fundraising. I have my own fund launching myself, but before everyone races to email me to ask for an investment, it's only for emerging markets. So unless you have market penetration in like, Africa or Latin America or Southeast Asia, like not looking at Europe, not looking at North America, unless it's something really, 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 really exceptional. So yeah, I mean, I have a ton of connections through my work at OpenVC and my own personal network of venture capitalists. I have, I know how decks should look. I know how to structure decks. I know how to structure stories. I know how to do grand strategy, and I know how to really, grow and scale, not only, the startup itself, but the individuals involved. So I'd say everyone reach out, but just, the caveat I have besides hardware is like, I don't work for free. I'm pretty busy. So only reach out if you're serious. If I get one more person telling me I can work for their token, I'm going to flip.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know that one. Oh. Yeah,
the token, it's kind of like, yeah, here. Well, I'm going to give you my work in the form of a token, the Shaun Gold token, so it's, so it's like, I don't take tokens. I don't take equity. I don't take sweat equity. I don't take any of that, so I always, and most people, I still reach out and I still say no, just because that's the way it is. But yeah, I'm always open, to having people reach out. If they want to subscribe to my Substack, they can subscribe. It's freemium. There's a few free issues a month, and then the rest is paid. But it definitely helps. It's read by entrepreneurs, investors, creatives, pretty much people from all walks of life. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty available. It's just, send a message. Don't add me on LinkedIn with no message, because I will ignore it. As I say on my LinkedIn profile, it's like, just if you're connecting, just add a message while you're connecting. And people just connect, and then I have to say, okay, why did you connect? And then they don't respond, and then I delete them. And then 2 months later, I'll be like, oh, hey, I thought I connected. I was going to ask you this. And it's okay, well, that's it. Again, it's all about I'm not so much about quantity. I'm about quality. And in this case, quality is being able to include a message in your LinkedIn profile when you connect with me. Hey, Shaun, I heard you on the podcast. I'd like to connect to talk to you about this. Done. Simple. 5 seconds. Happy to, instead of like, who knows? I mean, I'm sure you get hit up too. I get hit up for a lot of stupid stuff on LinkedIn. Everything from restaurant franchises to starting my own business. Oh, wow. They're so nice to offer it to me, So yeah, but I'm very open. I encourage everyone to hit me up.
Cool. All right. Well, so yeah, everyone, you can reach out on LinkedIn with a message, or on shaungold.com, because you said nobody's contacted you there. So let's do that.
Yeah. Shoot the email. I respond to emails too. Like I said, I hit everyone back provided there's a message. It's like sending someone a blank email. It's like, I'm not going to respond to that. I'm just going to think it's spam, and that's it. But yeah, feel free to connect. I'm happy to help where I can.
Great stuff. Well, thank you, Shaun. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been dope, as the kids say.
I don't know what kids say these days. I have one 17-year-old, but he's kind of like super boring type, so he's not at all an indication.
He'll know what dope means.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of Smart Branding Podcast. Feel free to visit smartbranding.com for more information, and reach out if you have any suggestions, questions, ideas, or just want to learn more about how a good domain name strategy can help you build a strong and successful brand. See you next time.